Hello guys, welcome to a Train Parrot. This cute rally that we're currently seeing after the formation of a double bottom on the 4-hour is coinciding with the government shutdown resolution. It's coinciding with the Trump's 2000 stimulus pack coming in, creating 400 billion that is expected to hit the markets. And yet still we see some indecision in the price. We do have a breakout on the 4-hour and on the daily, but we still haven't done enough damage crossing my line in the sand, which is 107K. In today's video, we're going to focus on the news. We're going to focus on what other people are saying, what's the current sentiment, what other YouTube channels are saying, what my community is asking, all of that together with the fundamentals of Bitcoin. Guys, if you like this type of content, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. Yesterday, somehow, I have a bunch of energy and I decided to put up a summary in the evening and also a market open update. If you are liking those videos, make sure that they get enough likes and views. Obviously, if they remain with good amount of likes, I'm gonna continue doing it. If not, I will give it just to my Patreon community. I'm sure that they will still appreciate them. Guys, if you are on the lookout for a new exchange, consider 2bit. This exchange was built by the same people from Bybit. 2 minutes to register, non-KYC required, 200 leverage, which is a no zone for me. 20 billion in daily trading volume, and in 5 minutes after you sign up, they will deposit to you $50 for free, which you can use to start getting to trade, or you can deposit your own cash and then get a bite of the 30,000 in USDT rewards. Of course, you have to use the link in the description and create a new account to get that advantage. Let's have a look at the news. Remember, this is the social video. In here, we care about the news, we care about what other people are saying, and we try to decouple what's bullish, what's bearish, what's crap, what is true, what is manipulation, hopefully. BTC rejected at 107, risk of 100K retest. And this is something that we've been envisioning from the lows. We started saying if we don't cross 107, we have a big risk of a rejection. The resistance of 107 failed. I kind of disagree with this. I think it's a little bit too early to say that it failed. You can look at my Bitcoin video technical this morning. This one in here called BTC Market Open Update is just a few minutes long, and I gave you precisely the level that we need to contain. There is a double top structure forming, a CME gap at 104 target, and I think if we take that CME gap, we are still okay-ish, ready for another attempt for 107. Not guaranteed, but I think we still have chances. If we only go to 104, if we go to the gaps sub 100K, there is no way we're gonna try 107 in the short term. Suggesting lower short-term support, bearish sentiment persists unless 107 is reclaimed. Strong risk to drop towards 100K. I agree, that's a 3 out of 10. The second one is BTC recovers above 105 as shutdown relief rallies assets. The fear and greed is now at 26, so we are still not out of the woods. We are still perceiving this as an area of risk. We can see the CBD in my technical videos, and it's showing that aggressive sellers are still in control, selling using market orders. ETF inflows reverse, technicals mix, 200-day SMA unclaimed. This is a 5 out of 10 neutral. ETFs saw 240 million inflows after prior outflows led by BlackRock and Fidelity, suggesting support. BTC trades below 200-day SMA, which is located at 110, with an RSI of 46, pretty much indicating sellers hold control. Bulls must reclaim 110 to regain the trend. I think 107 says a lot, but yeah, if we don't get above 110, we are not above the point of control on the daily, which is such a critical level to defend as well. 107 was my choice because that's the neckline of the double top that broke down on the 4-hour. Watch my technical video for that detail. And every time you get a breakdown from a double top or a head and shoulders, if you come back to the neckline, you reclaim it, you put all the shorts in massive stress, and that could lead into an actual short-term rally at the very least. We got incoming a dead cross. This is a 4 out of 10. The 50-day SMA SMA is edging below the 200-day SMA, forming a bearish dead cross pattern. BTC failed to break above the 38.2% at Fibonacci retracement and the 200 MA, validating a breakdown concerns. Critical 100K support at stake. So yeah, we have very little attention on crypto. Whether you think people are not using Google anymore for searching, that's fair enough, but the people that are still using it, which I think is a lot more than you expect. Now we are at 21, the lows have been around 19, so we are very close to being at the lowest levels of attention on Bitcoin. Remember, that could turn into a bullish alpha. And my daily report, 7 days a week, let's see what it says. It's focusing on what happened in here. Remember, this report is automatically generated by AI that is watching 30 videos plus per day from different channels on YouTube, the ones that have massive impact on what people think. So do not take this report as the source of truth. Take it as the source of crap that people are currently eating. The masses, the herd, are listening to everything that is being said in here. Whether bullish or bearish, whatever it is definitely playing with people's mind. So you can have an access, you can have a look at this report. It's every day published as a post on YouTube, on Telegram, on Twitter, and to my Patreon. They get to see the full report, which is a lot longer than the one that I sent for free. Yeah, everybody's talking about the government shutdown, the 400 billion stimulus, and how that can impact the price in a positive way. And they are comparing it with the last time that happened around the beginning of COVID, where we were starting a bull rally, a bull cycle, and of course, people were more keen to take massive risks. Now that everything is in a bubble, every asset is rallying, some of them have already put a local top, like gold and silver. It's a way different situation, and the chances now are that additional injections of cash could cause that the rallies extend. It's like throwing more wood to the fire in a way, but every time you do that, the risk increases massively of a huge correction as well. More Crypto Online is expecting first to get into 112 to invalidate the bearish targets. So he's got a way more conservative line in the sand than my 107K. Trader Nick is pointing out that the Nasdaq sell-off extreme bearish sentiment with a put-call ratio at 50-day moving average support. Jason Piscino is currently expecting some correction for Bitcoin, and Bitcoin Hyper is pointing out at the W bottom with a target to around 110K. Remember that the report has a lot more to give, including trading setups that were found on those 30 different channels in YouTube, all for free. This is a very interesting. Ted found out that there is a pattern regarding the day of the week. Bitcoin usually peaks on Monday and the bottoms are on Tuesday. Very interesting, but here graphically you can follow every single Monday and then the Tuesday. Interesting because today we are on a Tuesday. Let's see if that is gonna play out in a similar way. This has been happening for a few months. Also, Bitcoin has a CME gap around 104, so hopefully this Tuesday is just the excuse that we need to go close that gap and go back up. Remember, if we go for the gap at 96 or below, the one at the very bottom, that will still play out as a typical Tuesday, because this doesn't say how low can you go on a Tuesday before starting some sort of recovery. And we have a few social posts in here that are actually contrarian. One of them, this one, is actually pretty bearish. It says that we are breaking down from a rising wedge and that it's gonna take a few weeks to complete until we get to targets of sub 70K. Backtesting the undercarriage of a rising wedge is common, pending and depending on how high the backtest they want to take it before it heads much lower. There is a chance in here because it's giving two potential scenarios. The first scenario is to rally into 120. The second one is to have an initial leg into 88. Remember those two scenarios, we have them at the moment. One is with my long to potentially take advantage advantage of a move into 117 to 120 where we have some liquidity, not the biggest one, but there is some liquidity. So if we want to really do a dead cat bounce, we can go into that. Secondly, if we come back down into 88, we need to be prepared to look for a place where we can DCA. That's why I'm not going to leave an order at 88, neither at 95 or 96 and 92. Those are very tempting levels, but I always need to see under which circumstances and how the charts, the data is looking as we come down, because we could find bottom at the biggest pool on the lower end at the moment in the short term, which is 95, something like that, before we go to the 85 one. And maybe I take that one, or maybe I go for 88. It all depends on what I'm seeing in the charts. If you want to get notified of what I do, when I do it, every single time for BTC trades, you can take any tier from my Patreon community, starting with the BTC articles. Or if you want to be part of the next session, we're going to do the second workshop around advanced trading setups. This one is going to be focused on order book, understanding how to read it, and liquidation pools. The first workshop, you can find it in my channel if you go to live, this area in here, and then scroll down elite trading workshop. You want to have a look at the first workshop for free, be my guest. If you want to be part of the next one that's going to be live, I'm more than happy to have you live asking me questions on the elite altcoin trader tier next Thursday. And we also have a bullish call in here. This bullish call is focusing on what happened from 2021 peak into what is expected. Gert thinks that we're gonna go to 300K. Let me take another pill. I need a pill of reality in here because this is gonna make me very sick to read, but I'm still gonna show you what people are consuming. And whenever I show you a post like this, the first thing that you need to do is look at how many views the post has, because that's gonna give you a fair understanding on how many people are swallowing that crap. For the fourth time this cycle, BTC has perfectly bounced off the 40-week SMA based on weekly lows. Wave 2 is expanding. Correction looks close to completion as sell-side pressure fades across the network. Wave 3 is loading. So he's expecting now that we're going to have a massive impulsive wave that's going to need to break all resistance on RSI levels on the weekly. On the monthly, it's going to have to go against all odds. Yeah, anything is possible. Sure, I'm not being sarcastic. Yeah, anything is possible. Now, what we need to understand is what is the likelihood of that. How much risk you want to take for such a huge reward that might be offering you just a likelihood of 1% of happening. And I'm following Ted for a while, but BTC got rejected from the 107 to 108 resistance level. The next key support for BTC is around 104. That's where we have the CME gap. So we are resonating in here. I love doing my TA early in the morning and then do this particular video where I look into socials, into news, and then identifying what I'm saying, who else is saying it. Because if you see what I'm saying is being repeated by channels like Coin, sorry, something got stuck in my throat, or sorry, another channel, sorry, I didn't mean to say that, then you should run away. Too many people, too many dumb people consuming an elite setup puts that setup ready to throw it to the bin. You do not want to trade something that is popular, period. So if you're a trader and you're watching channels with over 1 million subscribers, that is like going to a Michelin restaurant and going straight to the toilet to eat shit from the toilet directly and then go home and still pay the bill. Does it make sense? No. Well, you're trading and watching big channels does not make sense. I'm sorry. You're wasting your time. Another day, another whale sells. This guy's held for 15 years. I don't understand why he sold everything to gain $1.1 billion. Does anyone need $1 billion? What about taking a couple million out and then a loan for the rest, or 10 to 50 million? Well, there might be a reason. Maybe he knows something. Maybe he just had enough. Maybe he expects a recession. or maybe he needs to migrate to a stronger wallet. I mean, we have no clue really. The only thing that is getting me itchy is the frequency of these events. Every time I see one more of these events, which were not happening as frequently in the past cycle, we're talking about 15 years, so past cycle it should have been 11 years, the equivalent. It gets me itchy because I start thinking, is someone using an early version of a quantum computer to every 1 to 2 months crack an old lost wallet and get those coins to move? I find really weird that a wallet stays 15 years, no move at all, and then suddenly sells everything. Just my little grain of sand in here is just speculative. Not entirely a fan of this rejection here on BTC. So far, it looks like an ABC up and failed to reclaim this key area. So I'm not sure about that. I wouldn't say that this early. We need the price really to break that 104, that CME gap, and go beyond that level, hinting that it's going to go for the second down or the third down CME gap, which are below 100K. At that point, when you break below 104, 103.5, I think is the limit of the previous resistance around here, then I get very itchy and I start thinking, yeah, we're going probably for a lower low. But you can see the upside down situation in here. You pinch and you went up, right? But there were some tests in here and none of those went straight down. You still had a relief. So in here, what that tells me is that maybe we need more than 2 attempts against 107. I told you from 107 to 110 at the very least, it's going to be very heavy. There's 1 billion at 111 in open interest, and all of that has to take some time. We're talking about maybe a few more days, as long as we defend those levels I just told you, 104. And you got many people talking about this, many people looking at this neckline. It is a battle. People are shorting resistance. But if that doesn't break below, then those shorts are going to be fuel to move into 117. This one is very interesting. Bitcoin is doing it again. Each cycle, the 50 EMA gets 3 taps. The third one is the liftoff. We're at the same stage now. Last bounces came straight from here, a final flash to 95K, 98K. Then Bitcoin goes vertical. I am not sure either. I mean, this is kind of cherry picked. There's been some other areas this cycle where we did one pinch only. There's been some others where we got very close and we didn't pinch. And also this says each cycle. Do you mean each Bitcoin 4-year cycle? Or do you mean the year? Every year we do something like this? I think this post is a little bit ambiguous. I think he means this cycle. But at previous cycles we did something very different. With the 50, we were bouncing on 2017 and part of 2021 cycles, we were bouncing from the bull market support band. We were not even dealing with the 50 EMA. The 50 EMA is something new this cycle that we're testing. Anyways, it was supposed to be interesting, but it really isn't. Martin says, Bitcoin market update. Bitcoin is currently down 16% from its all-time high. What comes next? 6 key charts to watch. Bitcoin is holding above 100K cost basis cluster. This zone includes 10% below the short-term holder realized price, 365-day moving average, a strong confluence level of support that we have held so far, along with many others. This resilience comes despite the second largest ETF outflow in history. The largest one was around here between March and May 2025. So it is big, but not as big as that's one. There hasn't been new USDT issuance. USDT market cap is flat. This signals a lack of fresh liquidity entering the system. Not great. Long-term holders are increasing selling pressure. Bitcoin sits at a pivotal moment. It's holding key support despite the ETF outflows and long-term holder selling, but fresh liquidity and retail demand remain absent. It is nice to see though that there is a little bit of the leverage going on at the moment, which is always helpful if you're considering to do a scalp or a swing to the upside, but definitely does not guarantee yet, in my opinion, a bounce straight into an all-time high just by itself as a signal. And let's have a look at the questions from my community. And we continue to have very little questions. The average used to be 20 to 30 questions. Now we're getting 2, 3, 5. Could we do some TA on gold? I am still interested in some spot DCA, and I wonder if correction is over or still due further tips. And I like this attention into other assets as well. It's part of the bearishness that we are currently seeing. The more bearish, the more extreme fear, the more capitulation on Bitcoin, selling at a loss, and all of those things combined can help building an area for a strong bounce. Whether that is an dead cat bounce, short-lived, or if it is coming with an all-time high, that's unknown. But I get more confident to enter on a long, in this case to add to my losing long, the more people ask, should we do some TA on other assets? Well, that's kind of signaling this lack of confidence in crypto that could bring it back. Looks like the rally to 107.5 has pretty low volume and up as liquidity hand. How stable is the support of 104? Well, we have the CME gap there, but as I say, the trick is take that gap and only that gap. So how can we tell that that is the case? Well, take it and have a strong bounce straight back into 107 and try again to break that resistance. That shows that, you are less heavy because you have 3 CME gaps below it and you took one, and that's all the bears managed to do in terms of damage. If you can see that and you start rallying back up and you put the shorts at stress, which happens above 107, then we could bring 110 and then we liquidate that level of open interest at 111, and so it begins and back a profit at that point, and then we can put some damage at 117. Are we likely to break? You mean break down? If you do, daily RSI support coming in at what price in our reverse RSI? Let's have a look at that because I didn't cover that in the very short update this morning. So the 4 hour has support at 47.23. So on the 4 hour, we should bounce from 103.8. No closes below that because then you break this previous resistance. It should turn into support, and the RSI shows that that is more or less around there. So we can extend this bull flag on the RSI up until here. Ideally from there, we want to go straight back up and put a new high, a higher high at 70.71. By doing that, I suspect that we are going to be out of the woods above 111 by then. On the daily, we can go way lower to meet with a new support, ideally, and do a perfect retest. So that is at 39.59. So 39.59, let's put it as support. That allows the daily to go up until 102.442. It's pointing up. So it depends how long we take to get there. If we go there, we should not cross below 102.5, give or take, on the daily. And we have 103.8 on the 4 hour. So let's not break the 4 hour and then there's no need to break the daily, right? That's kind of the idea. We have both time frames in a breakout. 4 hour has already progressed a lot and it needs to defend this. Daily needs to defend just the 2 consecutive days of breakout that we have so far. If we do that, we are also defending the MACD and we can allow it to have a bull cross from below zero. That will be bullish. At that point, the histogram will turn into green and potentially we can see the daily also doing a little bit more upside. And I think we have another question from Eddie. It's good to be back from holidays. Although I know lower is possible, it looks to me like bottoming formations. I think sentiment should rise with the shutdown ending, QT ending, and a more bullish stock market. We can all see the path higher. Can you see Bitcoin cryptos crashing with cheaper money available, other assets going higher, and other macro catalysts like market structure build happening at the same time? Well, this all depends because the market has on the table lots of bullish catalysts, but these have been used so far in the past 2 weeks to rug pull people. That's clear as day. So far, they've been on the table and people have entered the market, retail, and then suddenly market started collapsing back down. There can be many hiccups of the tensions between rate cuts, no rate cuts, employment data being extremely bad or extremely good, inflation, no inflation, tariffs, no tariff. There is just so many things going on, and all of this at elevated levels of risk. I feel like if you have some decent bearishness, we are pretty high on every single asset and things can collapse very fast in a negative way. yeah, all these catalysts, if they play by the letter and the timing is perfect, you can sustain a structure that is currently in my brain about to enter free fall. And maybe you can patch it somehow to get it to continue. But I see it as a structure that is very weak, that it really needs to nail it in terms of patching it all over the place so it can continue higher. What's the strongest magnet right now, up or down? Your morning update suggests it's looking less and less likely we'll have a significant upside. Lara, yeah, in my earlier video this morning, this one here, we are now formed on the 4 hour. We got that double top right there at the resistance. And the thing that I don't like is that we took that CME gap on the top. That was the car under the sleeve, and we already used it. And we use it for what? For completing a double top with a liquidity hand right there into the resistance of the neckline. That is not a setup very promising. And that's why I wanted to be very clear that if now we are rejected back down, we can only afford to take the CME gap that is sitting right next to the price below it. Not the second, not the third, just the first CME gap below it at 103.8. Go there and you're gonna find support on the 4 hour. After we break support on the 4 hour, the daily could be under risk. It could turn into a fake out, and that's a place we don't wanna be. So more than being like we have no chances of breaking 107, I give you the recipe to actually conquer it, and I'm realistic that the first battle has been lost, but not the war yet. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like, write down a comment down below, subscribe to the channel and share with your friends. We're getting 100 subscribers a month, which is absolutely ridiculous. No one cares about Bitcoin, and the only people that are still here are just watching crap in other channels and getting decimated. So do a favor to your friends, to your family, and show them the light, where to learn actual trading, and at the same time get insulted in the same channel. Amazing. We got a deal, right? Okay, play again the video. Hit the like. Bye bye.